For 12 years she bled. Bowed over and weighed down, shame and pain had made a home upon her shoulders, causing her to look like an old woman. She kept her eyes cast down to the ground, hoping no one would see her or notice her, but they did. People would see her coming in the distance and run to the other side of the road. Sometimes they would turn around and go back the way they came. No one wanted to cross paths with her. They were terrified that whatever it was she had might rub off on them or travel on a simple good morning or good afternoon and find rest in their lungs, infecting them, making them the untouchable, the unclean. For 12 years she bled on a daily basis, non-stop. Understand, this was no light spotting. She bled heavily. Her body began losing its vitamins and minerals from the blood loss. Her skin grew pale, her hands stayed cold and clammy, and even worse was the smell. No matter how many times she bathed, the stench clung to her like an old heavy coat she couldn't rid herself of. A constant reminder that something was wrong. And something was wrong. Doctor after doctor took her money and sent her home without an answer or a cure, every year growing worse than the year before. Over the last 12 years, she had seen so many doctors. Their names and faces all ran together in her mind. There's no hope for you. Go home and wait to die, they all told her. Finally, she was out of money, but not out of hope. As long as she was able to open her eyes every morning and breath would fill her lungs, hope was there. It wasn't always easy to hold on to hope. There were days she didn't want to get up. Pain would attack her body with such an intensity. She would curl up in a ball and pray for death to come. But he never did. Instead, there was a man named Jesus. He was rumored to be the Son of God. They said he had the power to cast out demons, make the blind see, and heal the sick. And he was in her town today, not far from the lake. When she looked outside her door, she could see hundreds of people making their way towards where he was. This was her chance. She knew it. Shaking and trembling with excitement, she joined the crowds on the road. The closer she got to where he was, the thicker the crowd became. It was so crowded, people stood shoulder to shoulder. At times, they were only able to take a few steps forward every now and then. She had to get to him. She needed to touch him. She knew the power of God was in him. She just needed to touch him. Just let me get close enough for my fingers to just barely touch him. If I touch him, I know I'll be healed. I just need to touch him. She prayed as she squeezed and pushed her way forward. Excuse me. Please, excuse me. I'm sorry, excuse me. Elbows jabbed her in that tender place in her stomach. She was pushed and slapped, but nothing stopped her. The closer she seemed to get to him, the further the crowd moved him away. People surrounded him from all sides, yet he remained calm. Her heart raced in her chest. She was almost there. A sense of urgency filled her veins, and she fought her way forward. She was a desperate woman on a mission. She had to touch him. She was knocked to the ground, kicked and trampled. She kept crawling past hundreds of legs. Her need to be healed became her strength to keep going. She kept moving towards him, bruised and bleeding. She finally made it so close to him. She could clearly see the back of his head. Although he was surrounded by his disciples and a crowd surrounded them, she was almost there. This was it. With all of her might, she lunged forward, falling into the crowd, and a small space opened where he was. She reached into this space and was able to touch the bottom of his cloak on her way down. Something incredible happened in that moment. She felt a surge of power flow through her entire body. It was as if she was born again, right where she stood. The color returned to her skin. The pain left her body, but most of all, the bleeding had stopped. All of a sudden, the instant her fingers met with the fabric of his cloak, she was healed. "I knew it," she whispered. Jesus knew it too. "Who touched me?" he asked. Everyone denied touching him. One of the men with him reminded him that people were crowding them and pressing them on all sides, so how could he ask who touched him? "Someone touched me," Jesus said. "I felt the power leave from me." Jesus looked out into the crowd, searching for the person who touched him. No longer able to hide and fearing for her life, the woman came forward, shaking with fear. She fell before Jesus' feet and she told him her story. She told him of the years of sickness, pain, and shame. She told him about the money wasted year after year on cures that never worked. She told him about her hope to just touch him. He took her hands in his. This man, Son of God, touched a woman who others said was unclean. He broke Jewish law the moment he spoke to her. She was an unclean woman, and untouchable. Any contact with her made him unclean. Jesus took this frightened woman's hands and lifted her up. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." Her touching him wasn't what healed her. It was her belief, her faith in him, unshakable faith that he was the one who could heal her. The touch was just her faith in action. Just believe.